This data is called the Linga code of this scene because it gives you full access to this scene. It makes you feel that you're buying sweets from this shop. By you, I mean your soul, which must detach itself from its present character to live a scene from some other character's life, which we have already understood in the previous chapters, how we can leave this body and go and live in another scene through a different person's body. But in order to do that, we need to have the complete access and understanding of the data of that person's present lives as well as past lives. A silence followed, which broke the dawn of understanding at the horizons of the young Mathang's minds. Although a thin cloud of confusion did soar up in Dhanushka's mind, he asked, Deva, you compared the Linga code with a ticket or a pass. Isn't it more than that? It not only allows me to watch a scene, but also allows me to control it. I can feel that I am in control of my body and mind. Or is that an illusion? Lord Hanuman replied, when you ride a boat, the boat moves you, not you. You feel the movement simply because you sit in the moving boat. In the same way, the soul just sits upon the body and mind and feels whatever they are feeling. The soul is not the doer. It doesn't do anything. There is no question of a soul controlling or changing anything happening in the theater of space and time. The soul remains a mute spectator. Which means if we start identifying ourselves with our soul, then we will realize that there is no ego of what we are doing because we know that we are not the doer. We make a great presentation, we make a great case, something, we achieve success in our office space, we are appreciated by the boss, we are appreciated by so many people. Suddenly we run to claim that acknowledgement. But if we are firmly steeped in the belief that I am not the doer, I am attaching myself with my soul and not what this character is doing, then we will not run to claim that credit. But Deva, said Dhanushka, by the way, let us express our gratitude towards Dhanushka, but for whom we wouldn't have got this knowledge. I can feel that I am doing everything. I am using my mind to think, I am using my mouth to speak. Using my body and mind, I can interact with the rest of the things present in the scene. I can move my body, I can move things around me using my body. I know that I am neither a body nor a mind. I am a soul and I have the body-mind. But I can control only my body-mind. That feeling of control is so real. As I told you, Lord Hanuman said quietly, thoughts are just intangible objects floating around you. Just like your mind can use a stone to fell a fruit from a tree, your mind can use a thought to launch your body into action. Your mind controls the body. Your body and mind jointly interact with the rest of the scene. The soul just witnesses everything that the body-mind jointly do. The soul doesn't do anything. Then why do I feel like I'm doing everything, Deva? Very pertinent question because we feel that all the time. Asked Dhanushka. Because you are attached to the character that is doing everything, replied Lord Hanuman. When you read a storybook, you get so connected to the hero that you feel what he feels. When he fights the villain, you feel as though you are fighting the villain. When he speaks something, you feel as though he is giving words to your thoughts. Your attachment to the hero grows more and more as you get to know him about his past. The same thing happens to the soul. The Linga code of a scene is nothing but complete information about the past of the lead character. As soon as the soul acquires this information, it gets attached to the character and starts feeling as though it is the character. Does that mean that the soul has no free will, Deva? Asked Dhanushka. Everything happening inside the theater of space-time has already happened. Everything has already been scripted. The character lives as per the script. Since a soul can't do anything else but witness the scene, it has no free will. It has no other option but to silently witness what the character does. Is that right, Deva? Not really. So what does Lord Hanuman say? There is an infinite number of characters in the universe. Why do you want to stay attached to a single character? You, and I mean your soul, has the free will to detach from a character and reattach to another character of your choice. Spoke Lord Hanuman, making a smooth and graceful flying gesture with his hand. After a small pause, he added, even if you want to stay with a single character, it should be out of your own will. You should be able to leave whenever you want to. But how, Deva? How? Asked Dhanushka. Your soul knows how, said Lord Hanuman. Your soul knows the absolute language. It knows how the Linga code works. If given freedom, it can spontaneously choose a better character and a better scene for itself. Let it choose the next scene it wants to live. Don't allow your present character to interfere with your soul's free will. The journey of a character is already scripted, but your soul is free to write its own script. In short, don't mimic your character's choices. Make your own. You get stuck in unfavorable and miserable scenes when you allow your present character to choose your next scene. Let me demonstrate. For the brief moment, Dhanushka was excited about the demonstration Lord Hanuman promised. He expected celestial bodies to descend and explain the mysteries of the universe by magical means. Little did he know that his own body and mind were going to be the tool of the demonstration. Water, he croaked as he clutched at his burning throat. Urva, whose apprehensions about the shiny toy, which means mobile phones, had now melted away, stood instinctively to fetch water for his best friend. Wait, said Lord Hanuman, with his hands outstretched towards Urva and his eyes fixed on Dhanushka's woeful face. Detach from the scene, Dhanu, said Urva, who fully understood what the demonstration was all about. Let us express our gratitude to Urva. Dhanushka felt irritated on being supplied with a useless suggestion instead of the thing he badly needed, which is water. In your current scene came the stream of Hanuman's thirst-quenching voice. Your soul is attached to a thirsty character. It can't do anything about the present scene, but it can certainly choose the next scene as a better one. Why doesn't it? Because it is so attached to the present character that it might just go with his choice instead of making his own. Tell me, Dhanushka, what do you want your next scene to be? Dhanushka removed his hands from his throat. His thirst was now unbearable. He said, Deva, I am a soul currently attached to a thirsty character named Dhanushka. I want my next scene to be the one in which a bowl of water is at this character's lips. Such a mundane choice, isn't it? Said Lord Hanuman. If your soul were allowed to make a choice, it would choose a scene in which your character is far better than a thirsty tribesman. Maybe it would choose the character of a prince enjoying an evening in the royal gardens where the best musicians of the kingdom are playing melodic tunes. I can suppress my thirst, Deva, no problem, said Dhanushka. Again, that's such a miserable choice, said Lord Hanuman. And who is making this choice? Your character, your mind, to be more specific. But if your soul were to be allowed to make a choice, would it choose a scene better than that of suppressing thirst? Then what should I do, Deva? Groaned Dhanushka helplessly. Lord Hanuman suggested, Dhanushka, your soul should be able to distance itself from your character and be like, oh, the character named Dhanushka, you do whatever you like. Suppress your thirst or quench it. I have nothing to do with your choice. I am a soul and I am off to live a better scene through some other character. And by the way, your choices are just an illusion. Your journey is fully scripted. Maybe I will come back later to live your character, but your script rolls on to some other interesting scenes than this one. While Dhanushka tried to act upon Lord Hanuman's suggestion, Urmi said, Deva, I am so confused. Let us express our gratitude to Urmi. Oh Deva, I am so confused that my head is hurting. To be able to witness the next scene, the soul needs the ticket, I mean the Linga code of that scene, right? You said that his character is forcing his soul to move to the next scene of his choice. How can he? How can the character supply the soul with the Linga code of the next scene? How is this exchange between the soul and the character taking place? Did you understand the question? Very, very insightful question, right? Yeah. So let me repeat it. In order to choose the next scene, you need the full Linga code of the next scene. So, how is the character providing the soul the Linga code of the next scene? The Linga code is made up of karma and desires, replied Lord Hanuman. As I told earlier, to get attached to a character, a free soul acquires the karma and desires in bulk, which are readily available in the tunnels of Shunya, nothingness. But once it gets attached to the character, it starts witnessing a scene through him. If the soul just wants to live the next scene from the same character's life, it doesn't need to replace the whole Linga code with a new one. Even if you add a single desire or a single karma to the existing Linga code, you will get a new unique Linga code which would serve as a ticket for the next scene. When a soul is already attached to a character, it doesn't replace its whole Linga code to move to the next scene. It just modifies the existing Linga code by adding a single desire or karma. So what does it mean? It means that we are going from one scene to another and unable to detach from this character because of because we are continuously expressing desires. How does it move from one scene to the other scene? Because of desires. What does he say? Let me read it again. As I told earlier, to get attached to a character, a free soul acquires the karma and desires in bulk, which are readily available. But once it gets attached, it starts witnessing a scene through him. If the soul just wants to live the next scene from the same character's life, it doesn't need to replace the whole Linga code with a new one. Even if you add a single desire or a single karma to the existing Linga code, you will get a new unique Linga code which would serve as a ticket for the next scene. All I am doing is, that's the reason why they say, what is moksha? Moksha is absence of desire and absence of karma, which basically means we are working on our karma to bring it to shunya, and then we work on our desires to be continuously conscious of what desires we are making. If we express no desire and come to zero karma, then you have attained moksha. You will directly go to Vishnu Loka. And remember that scene where about Tirupati Balaji story, where they continuously kept modifying the karma desire basically means the linga code of Varaha, not Adi Varaha, that Varaha the boar, and transformed him into a human, and then finally managed to bring the karma and desire to Shunya. But when it came to Shunya, where did it go? It went to Shivaloka. Because in Shivaloka, when you bring your karma and desire to Shunya, you automatically enter Shivaloka. So it required the linga, not only the linga code of karma and desire to be brought to Shunya, but also the ego to be dissolved. Those who brought those who had the ego went to Brahmaloka, one below the Vishnu Loka. And those who still had the ego went to Vishnu Loka. And when they completely dissolved the ego, that only then they went to Mukti Sagara. So there are many lokas out there, but the loka of Mukti Sagara is the abode of the privileged few who are able to dissolve their ego as well. So no karma, no desire, and no ego. When a soul is already attached to a character, it doesn't replace its entire linga code to move to the next scene. It modifies the existing linga code by adding a single desire or karma. Every action invites karma, every thought is a desire. And that single desire or karma doesn't come from the soul's free choice, it mimics the desires and karma of the character. Why, Deva? How? What does it mean to mimic a desire or a karma? Wondered the Mathang seekers. Take the current scene of Dhanushka's life. What's his character desiring right now? Water. Dhanushka gave a start and uttered, I desire nothing but to listen to you, Deva. Nothing else. I swear, I desire no water. Indeed, said Lord Hanuman, smiling. In the current scene, his character has two desires. One, he wants to suppress his thirst. Second, he desires to connect with me better so that he can receive the knowledge I am imparting. Please note that these two are actually the desires of his character and not his soul. As far as his soul is concerned, it could simply refuse to put on these desires and detach from the character altogether. But that's not happening. His soul is exercising its free will even to choose one of these two desires. His soul is not exercising its free will to choose one of these two desires. The choice is also being made by his character. This is called mimicking or copying. His soul is merely mimicking the character's desires. His soul is getting the linga code for the next scene by adding the character's desires to it. That means that the soul's next scene is being determined by the character. Please note that the character is not actually supplying or transferring his desire to the soul. No such channel exists between the soul and the character. The former is present in the Shunya tunnel, which is the soul is present in the Shunya tunnel, whereas the latter, the character, is present in the space-time tunnel. The soul's desires exist in the form of soft data available in the Shunya tunnels. The character's desires exist in the form of thoughts, which are intangible objects available in the space-time. As soon as the character picks up a desire in the form of a thought, the soul picks up the soft data of that desire from the Shunya tunnel. That's why it's called mimicking, a desire and not receiving it.
Can you read it once again?
Yeah. The soul's desires exist in the form of soft data available in the Shunya tunnels. Okay? The soul's desires. The character's desires exist in the form of thoughts, which are also intangible objects available in the space-time tunnel. This is the space-time tunnel. We are not accessing the soul's, because the soul is right now suppressed. So remember the first story
How
where...
can you say the soul is suppressed?
Because if your soul was to be awakened, you would be directly interacting with God Himself and taking the directions from Him. If you remember the story of Renuka Devi, where it talks about Rishi, Prithu and Manava, who are awakened to the level of the soul. If you remember, those who are awakened to the level of the body mind, right? Those who are awakened to the level of, that is your that is your no, the Nishadas are not awakened at all.
Correct.
But those who are awakened to the level of your body mind are called Deha Prithu. Those who are awakened to the level of your samskara are your samskara Prithu. Those who are awakened to the level of the soul are the Atma Prithu.
Chitta.
The Chitta Prithu is the mind.
Okay.
The body mind is the Chitta Prithu. Those who are awakened to the level of the samskara, this thing is the samskara body comes, if you remember. There is a person who comes, if you remember, let me just recount that story. So there is a so this sage Rishi Jamdagni and his wife Renuka Devi are waiting and seeing, right? So there is somebody who comes and they say, oh, the berries are right here, but I can take it, right? But he says, then my somebody else must have done a lot of hard work to keep it there. So I will not take it. That is awakened to Chitta Prithu. Somebody else says, one more comes and one more person comes, and that's a lady. She'll come and she'll see that the berries are there. But then she says, she stands there and she says, I can see that my body mind wants to eat that berry. But now I can see my samskara body coming up and saying, no, that's a wrong thing to do. So she starts observing her body mind rising. She's able to see her samskara body rising. So she smiles and she walks away. So she is awakened to the level of samskara. So she is a samskara prithu. Then there is somebody else who comes. He sees that the thing is on. What does he do? He sees and he sits down and he moves the thing as if it is on strings of time, right? And he acts as if it is all strings of time, and he laughs and he goes away. He is awakened to the level of the Atma. He is an Atma Prithu. But if you are awakened to the level of Atma, which means you are able to see everything as fluid of space and everything as an experience on the strings of time, then you are an Atma Prithu. If you are, then yes, I can admit you into that category.
No, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, so that is the reason why we are not awakened to the level of the soul yet. If we are all awakened to the level of the soul, then our Atma would be completely awakened. You would be absolutely unperturbed by everything happening around us or everything happening around you. Absolutely unperturbed. You will say, this is the character, it is okay. Anybody comes and yells at you, you are saying it's okay. If somebody comes and appreciates you, you say it's fine. Some grave thing happens, you get an injury, you say it's just my body. For you, everything is just fluid of space. You remember that story where the sage's boy, he was being, what is his name? Aurava's son. No. The one who ultimately marries Shanta, Rama's sister. Rishishringa. What is his father's name? You are very good with names. Vibhandaka, yes. So sage Vibhandaka's son, he is being raised without any inputs, without any knowledge. He sees this is also, he looks at the shade of blue and he finds that, oh, the sky is also of the same color. But then Vibhandaka says it's just a variation of fluid of space. He says it's just a variation of fluid of space. So for him, everything becomes a fluid of space. Even if somebody who is ugly comes and stands before him, or an apsara comes and stands before him, for him it's only a variation of fluid of space. That is Atma Prithu. That is Atma Prithu. He was a Rishi. So who is a Rishi? A Rishi is somebody who already knows what is going to happen. And he is interacting with the divine entities to tell, and he already knows the divine purpose. So if he comes across the berries, a basket of berries, he already knows the divine purpose as to why it is here and what he should be doing. And he is taking instructions from the gods. The gods are directing him and he already knows. So that is a Rishi. Then there are Nishadas. Nishadas are completely unaware. They are ignorance. For them, they are blinded. So, and remember, it is not that you are a Prithu. If you are a Prithu, you will not become a Nishada. It is an oscillating state of existence. Every day, every minute, it is an oscillating. If we are not in awareness, it is that easy. Tuck. A fraction of a second, and you have fallen from a samskara prithu, forget Atma prithu, but you have fallen from a samskara prithu or a chitta prithu to a nishada. Very easy. happens with us all the time. So in awareness, we continuously practice to keep raising our level of consciousness, becoming a chitta prithu, samskara prithu at least, and then atma prithu. So the soul's desires exist in the form of soft data available in the shunya tunnels. The character's desires exist in the form of thoughts, which are intangible objects available in the space-time. As soon as the character picks up a desire in the form of a thought, the soul picks up soft data of that desire from the shunya tunnel. That's why it's called mimicking a desire, not receiving it. Not receiving it, it is mimicking it.
Just mimics the
Yeah,
characters.
like one of the examples is that there is a paper, okay? Below is a piece of magnet, above is the iron. The soul is your magnet. So ideally what should be happening? The magnet should move, the iron should, a piece should move. But in our case, the iron, which is a character, is moving, and it is bringing together, it is moving a powerful substance called the magnet. Because the magnet has no idea that it is so powerful. The magnet has no idea that it can move the iron piece on top. It has forgotten about it. So that is the idea. The same thing happens with karma also. So you understood this example, right?
Yeah.
So what does the this thing do? The magnet thinks I am a part and piece of that iron, and it moves along with the iron piece. So it is mimicking the iron. It has not come into its own. It has not realized that I am so powerful that I can move that piece of iron. There were earlier on temples that magnets installed that could move ships towards them.
Yeah.
On top of Puri temple, if you go, that is what it is. To understand, the same thing happens with karma also. As soon as the character does something, the soul picks up the soft data of that action available in the shunya tunnel. That's why it's called mimicking a karma and not receiving a karma. To understand it better, you may consider an analogy of a student copying another student in an examination. Your illusioned soul copies the character it's attached to. When your character writes with the ink of thoughts and actions, your soul copies the same with the ink of desires and karma. So what are your thoughts?
Your soul is just copying the character.
Yeah, because no, what's happening is that your character is expressing a thought, is thinking about a thought. When you think about the thought, what does the soul go and do? It will go and get one from the shunya tunnel, it will go and get one desire for itself. Right? Your character will perform an action. What does the soul go and do? It will go and acquire the karma for that. Which means your soul, your character goes and commits murder, kills a person. But what does your soul do? It will go and acquire the bad karma of murdering somebody. So the next birth, when the soul takes birth, the karma has to come around. Someone will come and murder it. The same way, everything. That is why they say that whatever action you do, it is being mimicked. Why? The soul goes and takes all that bad karma upon itself. The soul doesn't realize that I am much more powerful. Why do we do an action? A good action is a good karma. But again, when if you remember the first story where Basanta came and gave his karmas, yeah, the entire fruits basket was then what does Baba Matan do? He goes around that water body that's there, but he doesn't find a single action which is a karma of of the soul of the Anushka. But everything has been done by either the Sura or an Asura. Everything has been performed by Sura or Asura. What does it mean? What does it mean?
mean that mostly they are influenced by the character, not by the soul. Whatever is doing.
They're
Yeah.
hijacked. They're always
The,
hijacked.
we are always hijacked. That means that the character that we are playing today is continuously hijacked. You know, I'll give you a very good example what happened today with me, okay? And I immediately came into awareness. So, I went and I played a fantastic innings today. The last match I scored a half century, like 52 in 23 balls. After which I followed it up. One day this was a Saturday. I followed it up on Sunday again with a 34. Okay, tough this thing, but then we won that match. And then today again, when everybody was going out, getting out, I stood and I again scored 36 and 27 balls. And everybody was saying that Anil is consistent, he's continuously getting runs. If he starts batting, we are going to win the game. All sorts of things that was going on, putting it on WhatsApp groups, everybody was saying. So I was seeing all this, and suddenly I was getting the thoughts in my head that damn, next time I should bat so well that, you know, we lost the match. I should bat so well that I should single-handedly win the game for the team. And then I saw myself from the others' perspectives. And that is something funny because we do it all the time. That I started thinking, there is a friend of mine in the team who always says, okay, Anil ka balla chal gaya to bas dekhne ke liye maza aayega. So I was thinking what all these guys were saying, okay. I was sitting there, they were talking about me, you know, on the other side, my own teammates saying Anil ka balla chal gaya to bas. So I'm thinking, okay, I am that character saying, I'm looking at Anil saying, Sala, ye to kya class player hai. I'm telling myself, and I'm like, God damn it, this is a Sura. Look at how a Sura has hijacked me and trying to feel good about myself. And all this happened in seconds or a fraction of a second. And immediately I had to come into awareness and say, who's this Sura? Come on, man, show me yourself. Who are you? Okay, and immediately I disconnected myself. And it happened in like maybe a second or two. Just a second. And I said, oh, look at this. Look at what's happening with me. And look at that Sura who's hijacking me. The minute I got that awareness and I came back to my senses and I said, okay, that's it. The Sura left. So what happened, the reason why I'm saying this is because our thoughts my thoughts invited a Sura to come and hijack me. At
You're
that
feeling
time,
good.
yeah, so a Sura came and hijacked me. So then what happened to my soul?
It started enjoying the praises.
No. My soul was not there at all. So if you remember what happens in that first story, Basanta Baba comes and says,
Right.
what is either a Sura has performed it or an Asura has performed it, which means that there is not a single action which your soul has performed. As in, the soul is not the doer, but you have taken, the soul's free will has performed. So finally they find half a banana, not even a half a banana. In that banana, they break the banana. In that half a banana, one part of the banana which was offered, which that monkey comes and he takes it and he eats. Lord Hanuman invites the monkey to eat, if you remember.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Monkey's name?
Kapidrishta.
Kapidrishta.
Yeah. So what does it mean? How much of the action is being done
by-
without a Sura or an Asura by the character? Almost zero. Which means that if we are coming and offering our prasada here to the God, how much of our karma is there in that? We don't know. It is almost, if a Mathang man could say that there is hardly any Sura or Asura, then for us it is. But anyway, it is still very important because it is still allowing some grace as we are surrendering our karmas. We are still coming one step closer to God. So that you understand now. I'm trying to bring together all the stories. Why I was not reading this, and why did I tell you all the stories before, is that we can draw upon a lot of the stories as we start. This is very, very in depth. This is like a psychology, it's not even 101, psychology 1001. If the kind of awareness, and what does it do? If you remember that, what the bleep do we know? What does the movie say? That if you are a real nuclear scientist, or what is it, that theoretical physicist, then as you start observing the world, as you start observing matter, then the universe will squarely put the responsibility on you, which means you become the observer. And when you are the observer, you are an Atma Prithu, because then you are only the mute observer, you are not doing anything. Okay, your the reaction of your body mind coming up, the reaction of your samskara body coming up, the reaction of your what is that, intellect body, intelligence body, all these 4 bodies. There are 4 bodies, sir. Okay, what are those 4 bodies? Body, mind, the deha body, body, mind, the intelligence body, the intellect body, and the samskara body. What are these 4 bodies? We'll come to know here. I mean, there is this thing called the invisible 4, which we will read in the next session. But these 4 bodies primarily govern us. In short, mind you already know, which is the one which thinks. Intelligence body is the one which provides logic. Huh? Data, logic, everything is intelligence body. Intellect body is intuition, is your instinct. For example, something you like let's say, I like Narendra Modi, okay, BJP, right? I have a lot of information data to base my like on. Somebody else may not like Narendra Modi. Now I have had a major debate, discussion, heated argument. I have given tons of data, and he was a Muslim friend, okay? Tons of data to say how is it that the Muslim community has benefited. But in spite of the tons of data in front of him, he'll say, no, I don't like Narendra Modi. Because that is the intellect body. Once an intellect body chooses to dislike somebody, there is no scientific basis for it. You cannot bring a scientific basis. That is why I avoid all bekar ka bahas and dimag ki khurafat. All arguments. I already realized, and you know where this came? It seems in Ayodhya, during the time of Sri Rama, in what is the Ramaloka, what is this, they say Ram Rajya, right? During the time of Rama Rajya, there were a certain section of the citizens of Ayodhya who disliked Sri Rama, they openly used to express contempt, they openly used to talk about their feelings of contempt on Sri Rama himself, saying he is not the ideal king. Look at him, his actions. How can you say he's the ideal king? And then there came a time, because they were bhakts of Lord Hanuman, Lord Sri Rama. They are not ordinary. The others were steeped in bhakti. So they became very angry towards the other group. And that is when Sri Rama asked the rishis and munis to impart this knowledge of the 4 bodies to the citizens of Ayodhya, and say that if somebody dislikes me, it is the intellect body. So those who are disliking me, please advise the ones who are liking me about why the intellect body is so programmed to dislike me. So it is okay to dislike me. This happened during Ram Rajya. So I say that, okay, if somebody dislikes our PM Narendra Modi, what is the big deal? There were people who disliked Sri Rama himself during Ram Rajya. So no, there is no comparison, right? So they refused to accept him as God and always used to find faults with him. So that the situation became very heated in Ayodhya. So that is the time when these 4 bodies, the concept of these 4 bodies is explained by the rishis and munis to the citizens of Ayodhya, right? And then there was peace. So if we understand it now, we can bring peace to ourselves. Okay, so understood Deva said Urmi. What is the time? 9:30. Understood Deva said Urmi more to herself than her guru. When a soul is free, it can source karma desires in bulk freely from the Shunya tunnels. It can freely get the Linga code required to access a particular scene. Urmi had already done that in the first book, if you remember. But when it already has access to a scene, once it is already attached to a character, it's a completely different story. It simply mimics the character to put on a desire or a karma. If the character desires to drink water, it picks up the same desire from the Shunya tunnel. How foolish! It has the power to choose any desire from the unlimited stock of desires available in the Shunya tunnels, but it picks up a petty desire such as drinking water, or a painful desire such as suppressing a thirst. This tendency to mimic is the root cause of all sufferings that a soul goes through. I am glad that you understood this secret. To make this point clearer, let me give you a couple of more analogies, said Lord Hanuman. A word of caution before that. Don't overstretch any analogy. We are discussing things that transcend space and time. No analogy can perfectly visualize them. Therefore, stick to the technical details and use the analogies only to enrich those details. The first analogy is that of the lost sheep. I am sure you have heard the fable of the lost sheep. Have you heard? Yes, Deva. Dhanushka stood up at once and began to tell the tale with great interest. A curious tourist once visited a beautiful but mysterious valley. He was totally new to the place. This is us taking birth. He didn't know where to begin exploring it. He saw a local shepherd who was searching for his lost sheep. The tourist offered to join him in his search. This way, he could fulfill his desire of exploring the valley. Fantastic arrangement, right? The two unlikely companions kept wandering around the valley, one in search of his sheep and the other simply to explore the fascinating place. When the evening fell, the shepherd gave up all hopes of finding his sheep and began walking back home. The tourist accompanied him and stayed at his home at night. Next day, the shepherd set out to graze his herd and to do other routine works. The tourist again desired to accompany him because he was now addicted to everything the valley offered him. The visuals, the hardships, the sweat, the relief, and so on and so forth. The shepherd allowed him on the condition that he helped him in taking care of his sheep. The tourist did not know how to do a shepherd's work, so he simply started copying him. This went on for several days. Ultimately, he forgot that he was a tourist, not a shepherd. He forgot his true identity. The legend says that he still wanders in the valleys to this day, grazing sheep that are not his own. He suffers all the hardship of a shepherd's life. He doesn't have to do it. He could have left. He can still leave anytime he wants and become a tourist once again and move to explore some other place. Nothing is stopping him except his ignorance. If luck favors him, he might meet a guru and get enlightened about his true identity. Else, he will keep roaming the valley till eternity.
But apparently he liking, that's why he's roaming there, na? Like he's liking that
The
place.
tourist forgot that he is a tourist.
He
became a
liked
shepherd.
only for a few days, right?
He liked for a few days.
After that, he is suffering all the hardships of a shepherd.
Shepherd.
He has to take care of the sheep now. He has to do that shearing of the sheep. He has to go and sell the sheep in the market, the wool in the market. With that, he's taking care of his family, all of that. He doesn't have to do it. But this is also not to be thought of as an escapist way of life. You have to do your karma. What does Shri Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita is also that मैं भी तो कर्म कर रहा हूँ पार्थ, he says. So, the idea is, if you remember the first book where Baba Mathan says, life is a Rangamanch. This is a Rangamanch. We are characters doing the work. If you think that, if you know, realize, I won't even say know, if we realize, which means we are awakened to the level of realization that we are the soul, then what will we do? It doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter whether you get water today, don't get water, whether you get food today, don't get food, whether somebody is scolding you or somebody is praising you, whether you are in whether you are in America enjoying those visuals or you are near that, next to that drainage in HSR. It doesn't matter.
They are not disturbed by any events.
We are forever in the Shunya tunnel. Because we forever know that we can leave this character anytime. This is not us. Good Dhanushka remarked the immortal Guru. In this fable, the tourist is the soul, the shepherd is the character. To explore the scenes happening in the universe, a soul has to get attached to a character. As long as it's enjoying the scenes, it's alright to go along with the character. As soon as unfavorable and miserable scenes start rolling, it should abandon the character at once. Abandoning the character doesn't mean his death. He was here before your soul came. He will be here even after your soul has gone. In fact, your soul can come back later to get attached to him again when good scenes start rolling in his life. Now the second analogy. I assume you are all familiar with the lodestone. Lodestone is magnet. Yes, Deva, replied Urva. It's a black stone that attracts iron pieces. Lord Hanuman traced a circle in the air with a smooth movement of his fisted hand. When he opened his fist, there were three things sitting on his large palm. A magnetic stone, a piece of iron, and a thick leaf of a banyan tree. Expressions on his face suddenly became childlike as he placed the magnet upon the leaf and magnetically attached the iron piece below it. The magnetic force was working between them despite the barrier placed in the form of the leaf. When he moved the magnet upon the leaf, the iron piece mimicked the movement underneath. The lodestone has magnetic power, spoke the Lord Hanuman. It can get attached to any iron piece it likes. In this analogy, the lodestone is a soul and the iron piece is a character. The soul doesn't have to come inside the time space to get attached to a character. It can do so from the Shunya tunnels. Once the lodestone gets attached to an iron piece, an interesting thing happens. The latter also assumes the power to move the former, even though it has no magnetic power of its own. The iron doesn't have any magnetic power of its own. When the iron piece moves, the lodestone mimics the motion. Similarly, even though all the power of the free will lies with the soul, once it gets attached to the character, it stops exercising that power. It starts mimicking the desires of the character. That means the character gets the power to decide the soul's journey. The job of a guru is to remind the soul of its power of free will. Why don't we stop here? There are a few more pages, but this is a very heavy read. We don't want to rush through it. The real essence of the story is, why do we feel incomplete? We have not even got there. We have not gotten there yet. We will do so in the next chapter, next week. Because the understanding of this background is very important for us to actually know when the incompleteness is shown, then how do we react to it? We are all feeling. Remember this one simple thing. Everybody is driven by a void. That's the reason why we go and acquire it from an outside world. The void is inside. The void for what? Power, wealth, greed, lust, whatever. It is there inside. instead of addressing where it is, we go and try and acquire more. So the people with more money want more money. So sorry, the people who have a lot of money want more money. The people who have a lot of power want more power. The people who have abundance of it want more of it. That is never satisfied. Why? Because the void is inside. We are never addressing the void inside, but we are trying to get it foolishly from outside. So this, now that you have understood about the character of a soul, okay, and the free will of a soul, and why we are still attached to the character, once this incompleteness of the character comes together, you will have a very good picture. It will complete it in your mind, and you will have an enlightening moment. It's a ladder to moksha. So please be present in the next week. Let us listen to the remaining chapter. Jai Hanuman, Jai Sriram.